everybody, and welcome to the video. My name is JoJo, and today we're going to be doing some makeup. But before we get into it, since this is my first video, I did want to do a little bit of an introduction. I have been doing special effects makeup for about 5 to 6 years now. I'm entirely self-taught. So obviously I might not do things the way that anybody else does. It's whatever I found out and works best for me. I always love feedback if there's other people that you know a technique or skill that you think really works well and would help me improve. Happy for that feedback. Don't know what else to really say about myself too much. If you guys have questions, put them down in the comments. I have been making short form content on social media like TikTok and Instagram. You can go ahead and check those out. I'll have them linked to my channel, and I'll put the link down in the description as well. But I've been making short form content on there for the last 4 or 5 years. Would absolutely love if you go follow there if you're not already. Any questions you guys have, I would love for that. I'm not planning for this to be a tutorial. Not really my style. I don't really feel like I'm teaching, but if you learn from it, that's great. I'm more making these as a fun, like, here's the full process of what it looks like for me to do my makeup, for these fun looks and stuff. So yeah. But so happy to be doing this now. I kind of wanted to challenge myself to do more long form content. I don't really show too much of me in the process of doing my makeup, so this will be different for me. It's also the first time I'm talking in a video, so hi there. But let's get started. I'm going to start by taking off my glasses and I'll get into it. I don't know how much I'm going to be doing, like talking during the video. I might do more of it voiceover after in edit. And just have some patience with me while I learn this process and I'm figuring things out. But I'm so excited, so let's get started. So while I do some skin prep, just putting on a little bit of moisturizer real quick. It's thrilling content. Today I am thinking about doing a little bit of like an oil spill style makeup. Great. So I'm just gonna start with, I'm probably gonna start with my chest for this one. Okay, I'm probably gonna do a bunch of this as voiceover and as time-lapse. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn some music on. Today we're gonna be listening to Epic the Musical, because why not? Great soundtrack. If you've never listened to it, go check it out. And I am gonna shut up now and get started. I'm gonna start with the chest and we'll go from there. So I'm starting with using the Mehron Paradise Makeup AQ in the shade Black. This is a water activated paint, so you can get some really cool effects like this, including drips, which unfortunately sometimes leads to a bit of a mess, as we can see, but still really cool effect. So I'm just using this with a lot more water than I normally would to get a really good drip effect, and just kind of going in, creating these blobs. And then I'm going to use this tapping motion a lot throughout this process. I really like to do this in my makeup. I, for whatever reason, find splatter kind of really enhances the look and stuff like that. Obviously for something like this, I feel like it's necessary. You definitely have to have that splatter if you're going to go with the drippy effect of your oil spill. So to do this, I just tap the brush against my finger, and it drops that paint onto the body in a nice splattered effect. Using a thicker brush, I'll get these thicker splatters. And then I'm just going to work up my, on the other side of my chest, kind of working around. As we can see, I'm getting some really good drip effects. So that's what you see me doing when I just kind of hold the brush there, is I'm just trying to get this paint to drip down. That's also why I'm going to have a little bit of movement and sway, is just to kind of help direct that paint where I want it to go. And then I'm going to go in and splatter this some more. Quick little check-in. So I have the base of the black done on the chest. I'm liking how this is looking. I like the real splattered, messy look of it. I'm gonna wait for this to dry before I go in with some eyeshadow on top of it to add that nice, like, pretty coloring and shine to it. So we're gonna wait for that to dry before I do that. So in the meantime, I'm gonna do some base makeup on my face. Some foundation, blush, blah 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 blah, the normals, and then I will go in with the black and do similar kind of a real splattered, messy, splotchy look, and we will go back into it. Alrighty, so I'm starting by going in with the Pretty Fresh ColourPop tinted moisturizer. I didn't feel like I really wanted as much of a full coverage foundation for this look, especially since a lot of this is going to get covered up in paint. I just kind of wanted something to generally even out my skin tone and kind of get us a good base. And then I'm going to go in with the ColourPop Pretty Fresh concealer and just kind of touch up that foundation a little bit, give it a second to sit in, and then put that under my eyes, on my forehead, and a little on my nose, just to kind of brighten up those spots. And then I'm just going to take the excess of what's left on my brush and just go over my eyelids just to even out the coloring there and prep it for eyeshadow. And then I'm going to go in with the Mehron setting powder underneath my eyes. I just use this just to make sure I don't get a whole bunch of creasing there and just set that makeup real quick. I tend to do this before I start applying other products just so I don't get creases under my eyes. And then I'm going to go in with the Juvia's Place liquid blush in the shade Sweet Berries. And then I'm also going to use a ColourPop blush stick. I don't remember what shade this is in, but I'm going to just kind of add that to give it a little depth. And then just applying this to the back of my hand and then onto my cheeks using a brush. I'm going to use the Anastasia Beverly Hills contour stick in the shade Fawn just to go in under my cheeks, give a little more definition, and then I'm going to put this around my forehead a little bit. And then I'm just going to go in with some setting powder over the black paint I've done on the chest. I don't normally have to do this with water-based paints, but when I tend to be doing eyeshadow on top of it, I do tend to pick a bit of the paint up. So just to kind of avoid that, I'm just doing this layer of setting powder in between. This will kind of help with that, to keep the paint where I want it to be, and to layer that eyeshadow on top. And then I'm going to go in and use some black shadow, and I kind of started by having like a shape in mind, and then it slowly devolves into me just kind of creating it as a mess and a blob, just kind of like everything else. It just felt like how it was going to go with that look, so we just embraced it. So you see me kind of dragging that eyeshadow in a bunch of different directions, and it just kind of turning into a little bit of a mess, but very intentionally. And then I'm just going to repeat this process on the other eye. And then I'm just going to go over the lid with a gray eyeshadow just to kind of darken that up. Not really being too precise with this, just wanted it to kind of put the color on, and we will clean things up and add some depth later. And then I'm going to go back in with that Mehron black paint and kind of create some more blobs on my face. Just applying the paint and directing the drips how I want them to fall, and then applying that around my eye some more. And then going in later and adding some splatter to that, and then repeating the whole process again on the other eye, changing the shape up so it doesn't look too symmetrical. And then I'm just going to apply some paint around my mouth. And then just going in with a finger and just kind of smudging some things out, expanding the shape and roughing it up a little bit. And then I decided that it just felt a little too clean right at my neck there, so I decided to put a little more paint. And then I'm going to go in with some hair gel and slick my hair back so I can apply some more paint to the top of my head and work that into my hair by giving a nice slicked back look. And again, a lot of this process is just kind of adding paint and seeing how I like it and adjusting and adding more as I feel like it needs it. Alrighty, so I have all of the black done. I think this is what I'm going to do, at least for now, unless I change my mind, which I always could do. I am going to go in with a cheap eyeshadow palette I got, I don't remember how long ago. And I'm going to go in with some shimmery eyeshadows in different colors, going over the black just to give it that oil feel of having that hint of color and shine to it. So I'm gonna work on that. So before I go in with the eyeshadow, I'm just going to set my face since I hadn't done that step yet. And then I'm going to start with a blue eyeshadow and just kind of start to shape where I want the colors to go and how they'll follow this. But I'm starting with the blue. I do edit a good chunk out because I did realize in post here that unfortunately with how I set up the camera you can't see a lot of what I do on my chest, so I will start to kind of edit some of that out if you can't see, so that way you can actually see what I'm doing. So if you see some jumps, that's why. And then I'm just going to go in with a bit of a green color next, just following that rainbow. As you'll see, I do add a little bit of color to some drips, but I don't necessarily take the time to go through and color all of the drips and splatters. I think I just needed it for that little bit of depth for some of those larger drips, but I think it was going to get too messy trying to go through and add it to every single spot, and I don't feel like it really would have elevated the look too much. And then just going in with the next color and following the patterns and kind of adding to it. For me, it was kind of at this point that I was really starting to see the look come together. We're starting to get enough color on there. You can start to see some of that effect, which is only going to get better as we add these last few colors. And then as we kind of finish up some of these last base colors, just if you guys have any questions, feel free to leave these down in the comments, and or any looks you want me to try and do, go ahead and leave those in the comments as well. I would love to hear your feedback and thoughts. And don't forget to subscribe and like the video. This really does help support the channel, and it makes sure that you can see new videos when they come out. And just kind of wrapping this look up, I do go in over on top of the shadows with a multi-chrome shadow, just add a little more depth and that color shift to it. I am going to do some final little details, but I got all of the color on, so it gives the really cool oil effect. I'm really happy with this. So I'm going to do some quick little details, and then I will be back. I am in love with this. I think it turned out really good. I think it looks like oil, especially on camera that I can see from my monitor. I think it picks up really well. I'm so happy with this. I'm gonna go take some videos, some transition videos, post-transition videos. I would love to do some series of like themed things that like the different looks connect together. Would love some suggestions for that. Can't talk today, that's okay. But I love it. I think this is so much fun. And yeah, so here's the first video, and I hope to see you next time.